Sorry, Judge.
Thank you, councillors. Good evening and welcome to the first council meeting for the year. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting and pay our respects to their elders and the elders from other communities who may be here today. I'd also like to welcome our gallery tonight, those that are joining us in person and those that will join us online shortly, and to all other people that are viewing through the facility as we stream out the meeting tonight. So welcome and thank you. CEO, do I have any apologies for tonight's meeting?
Mayor, we do, thank you. So Councillor Viz is an apology and Councillor Stewart as well.
Thank you. Point 3, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. They have been circulated at the meeting of the 25th of January. So do I have someone to move and second the minutes of that meeting?
Happy to do that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gethley. A second, please. Councillor Simpson, thank you. Any opposition to those minutes? They're carried. Thank you, councillors. Point 4, request for leave of absence. I have a request from Councillor Viz, who is currently on a leave of absence, to extend that leave of absence until the 9th of March for personal family reasons. I'll put that to the councillors. I'll move that. Do I have a seconder to extend that leave of absence to Councillor Pollard? Seconder, thank you. Do I have any opposition to that motion? Thank you, councillors. That's carried. Thank you. Point 5, declarations of pecuniary and conflicts of interest. In accordance with section 132 of the Local Government Act 2020, councillors who have a conflict of interest in respect of matter being considered this meeting must A, disclose the conflict of interest in the manner required by the Council Governance Rules 2020, and B, exclude themselves from the decision-making process in relation to that matter, including any discussion or vote on the matter at any council meeting or delegated committee and any action in relation to the matter. Councillors, at this stage, are there any conflicts of interest to be disclosed? No. Thank you, councillors. 6, questions from the public. We have no questions from the public at this stage. Procedural items, report of councillor assemblies. Councillors, we have reports on the council assembly meetings held on the 1st to the 15th of December 2021. They are for noting councillors. Do I have someone that will note those and second that? Councillor Gethley and Councillor Moore, thank you.
Thank you. I won't ask for the note, Judge.
If noted,
Thank you.
it has been previously mentioned. Thank you. 7.2, correspondence initiated by council. The council notes the record of correspondence initiated by council and the responses received to date. We do have a response from Ms. Staley in those things.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and also a response from Stuart Grimley, MLC, who has acknowledged the letter and has indicated that he will look into the matter further and provide us an additional response at a later time.
the other one. Sorry, not Kevin.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yes. So, councillors, any others that you?
Two others that we've that have got their physiotherapy and occupational therapy degrees that have been students at Richard College and maybe the second one was Richard College.
In the bullet times?
Yes. Yeah. I think they were on the front page with young ladies.
Two young ladies.
We'll follow that, certainly. So, councillors, with those additions, which will obviously follow up, would someone like to move that we invite to those recipients and congratulate them? Councillor Sims, will move a second, please. Councillor Fuller, thank you. No opposition. Thank you, councillors, and thank you for the updates too. We've been a bit rusty, so we've been on holidays. And I mean, look, you know, there's a fairly extensive list there. 7.4, planning applications received monthly update. The Acting Director of Works and Technical Services, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this report provides information on planning applications under consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications. As it's laid out.
Any questions, councillors?
There's certainly a lot of activity in this space, it's good to see, and it doesn't appear that the current COVID climate has slowed down the application, so good to see.
Yep. That is very good to see. So, council, we have a recommendation of council that information obtained in the report on planning applications under consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications. Do I have someone to move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Headley, and second that. Happy to do any opposition? Okay, thank you. 8.1, general business policy reports, information on privacy policy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the Privacy and Data Collection Act 2014 requires Victorian public sector organisations to comply with 10 privacy principles governing the collection, management, use and disclosure of personal information. It's a requirement to have a policy which sets out council's management of personal information. Accordingly, the attached policy does cover off on those 10 privacy guidelines, Mayor, and there is a recommendation before councillors to adopt the information privacy policy.
CEO, any questions, councillors? Thank you. Council, we have a recommendation that council adopt the information privacy policy. I have a move, please. Councillor, I'd like to move a second, please. Councillor Will, thank you. Any opposition? That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, 8.1.2, fraud and corruption reporting policy. Very topical this evening. It's the city.
Thank you, Mayor. Council has a firm ongoing commitment to maintaining the highest standards of ethics and accountability in undertaking its functions and obligations. The attached policy clearly identifies the responsibility of the organisation to mitigate fraud and corruption risks, the avenues by which suspected fraudulent and corrupt behaviour can be reported, and the process of investigating any allegations received in relation to such behaviour. Mayor, the attached policy addresses those matters, and there's a recommendation for councillors for their consideration.
CEO. Councillors, any questions?
Maybe just a comment, Mr. Mayor, that another one like the last one, that basically procedures are very important to have them in place so that our staff everybody can protect them.
Thank you. Yep. So we have a recommendation, councillors, that council adopt fraud and corruption reporting policy. Wait a minute, please. Thank you, Councillor Gedley. Second. Simpson, thank you. Any opposition? Okay, thank you, councillors. 8.2, management reports. 8.2.1, planning permit application 928/21, use and development of land for a service station fuel cell, 2 Campbell Street, Birchip.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, we're there.
planning permit
You can
application.
take your mask off, so we can hear you.
Okay. A planning permit application has been received by council on the 13th of May 2021 for the use and development of the land for a service station and fuel cell at number 2 Campbell Street, Birchip. The proposal includes a sign and creating new access to Campbell Street. The facility will be unstaffed. Customers will be able to pay for their fuel using the self-service console integrated into the proposed fuel cell. It will be available for a 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week service. The recommendation from the officers is that council, having caused notice planning application number 928/21 be given under section 52 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, and the planning scheme, having considered all the matters required under section 60 of the Planning and Environment Act, decided to grant a notice of decision to grant a permit under provision of 34.01/1, 34.0/4, 52.05/11, and 52.29-2 of the Buloke planning scheme in respect of the land known and described as 2 Campbell Street, Birchip, lots number 6, 7, 8, 9, for the use and development of the land for a service station fuel cell, construct and display business, identification sign, and to alter access to a road zone category 1 in accordance with the endorsed plan with the application dated the 13th of 5th, 2011, subject to conditions.
Mayor, if I may, we have Mr. Harnett on behalf of the applicants who would wish to speak to council, followed by Mr. Smith and Neil, who would like to speak on behalf of the objectors.
Okay. Well, hear from those people first before I ask councillors if they have any questions. So if we can invite Mr. Harnett in to address the meeting. Thank you for joining us. Maybe you can hear us.
Yeah, I can. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we've introduced the application. So we're just after a statement from yourself in regard to this application.
Sure, no problem. There was a couple of representations, so I thought it might be worthwhile responding to those if they were attending to speak. Is that the case, or should I just provide some comments about the development?
At this stage, it is just purely and simply to make a statement in regard to the application. It's not a question and answer situation or address issues. Staff have presented a report. We'll hear from you as a statement. We have some people who we'll refer to as objectors, who will hear from him as a statement, and councillors will have the opportunity to get some questions in after that, Mr. Hardy.
Sure, no worries. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that explanation. So I'm a planner in South Australia working on behalf of Perry's Fuel Distributors, and this particular property appealed to them simply because they identified a need for the proposed service. Certainly the land use was suitable to the commercial zone, and the property was of a size that was capable of facilitating the types of vehicles that they intend to service. In relation to the planning scheme, the zone is correct for the proposed land use, and I agree with the comments of council staff in their report. In relation to some of the matters raised by the objectors, the key matters appear to be transport and traffic related. Council staff, I understand, support the application from a traffic perspective, as well as the Department of Highways who have reviewed it. we engaged Circa traffic consultants to assist us with the design to make sure that turning movements from the road and back onto the road and also within the site itself achieve Australian standards, and that they occur in a safe manner in relation to the road network. We provided, there was a letter from Circa engineers, traffic consultants, dated 11th of January, which really provides some answers to the key matters raised from a traffic perspective by the objectors. And I think it's important to emphasize that the number of movements for this type of facility is generally lower than that of a typical petrol station, which also includes convenience goods. So based on other sites, it's been noted that this type of facility tends to service about 10 vehicles per day. And in the opinion of Circa traffic consultants, and my opinion, that wouldn't have a detrimental impact from a traffic point of view. I'll probably leave it at that, but certainly support the comments within council staff, the report from council staff, and I'll stay on the line in case there were any particular questions later on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Smith.
Yes.
If you would like to address the meeting, please.
Right.
From where you are, there's fine.
Thank you. My name is Michael Smith, and I live number 3 Coming Avenue, Virgin, which borders the said property that they intend installing this. In their application, it is stated that the north and east of the property is not occupied, but that's incorrect because I am on the eastern side. My fence is their fence. And that's one of the objections I have, because with the facilities that they intend installing in that property, I am going to be uncomfortable in the position that I am in, because of the fact that there is traffic, they say 10 trucks a day, which even is bad enough because of the fact that I will have diesel fumes, dust that is raised every time when the truck turns around. I haven't seen a truck turn around without any raising of dust. That's one of the problems. Then you've got fumes from the filling of the tank itself, because I think it holds approximately 70,000 liters of diesel. So that 70,000 liters of diesel filled into the tank means there's 70,000 liters of air that is expelled from the tank, which could be like contaminated diesel fuels. The other thing is light, because it's going to be a 24-hour operation. And there's will be a lot of light pollution in that area. Fumes, dust, and light. Then besides that, something that's I have considered or can't figure out is that it is too close to the town itself. It is residential area. I mean, I'm in a residential area and all around it's residential. So there is a similar tank at the outskirts of Buloke on the other side. And I can't, for my I can put it out, it's not my business, but why would they want to? That one is located well on the outskirts, away from residential area. And there's lovely access to it that you can drive in and out without anybody being inconvenient. The other thing that I have thought about is that with these trucks, that Campbell Street or Campbell Street and into Cumming Avenue is used by school children going to and from the school. Now, if by any chance one of those children do get injured by the trucks, by children, that is something that I think, but I hope it won't happen. That's the next thing is the fact that it is too close to the towns. I have never seen a trans tank like this located or situated in the middle of residential. I am perplexed by their install. Other than that, I can only speculate on the amount of pollution and vibration and fumes, etc. But it does work. Thank you.
Mr. Neil. And like to come and have a chat to us too. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got a few objections. The topics that I'm discussing here will be why Mike's house due east of the proposed trans bank, traffic hazard, 5 ways, urgent people, what they want, what they don't. Town planning for the next 50 years would incorporate a safe area. Birchip already has a trans tank in a suitable position. It doesn't affect anyone. It's easy access for the trucks, entry and exit. And the school children crossing night at the 5 ways with trucks. So, start with why I object. I started talking to residents of the area who trans tank is going to apply for. And I soon realised that no one really knew what trans tank was. And they didn't realise the involvement of trucks, which is basically what the trans tank is all about. It's truck. 24 hours, 7 days a week. And they didn't know that. Like myself, I'll leave it for someone else to object. So, being in the business of fuel, I can see many negatives in this proposal if it was approved. The closing date is approaching and I decided to object in case nobody else did. So too many reasons to object to stay silent. And the following threat though is why I'm here now. The follow through is why I'm here now. Okay. So I noticed in Perry's proposal, no residents in the east of the site. Well, that is not true. Mike Smith is due east of that, 40 metres from that, his back door. On we have winds from the west. Where does it fumes go? It's straight in his back door, which is in the middle of the house. Rooms both sides, straight from the passage, into the land. Okay. I support he's uncomfortable about this transfer. The noise, the truck, the lights, fumes, etc. Fumes, for example, well, I mentioned this, if the 75,000 litres of diesel goes in delivery, the 75,000 of contaminated diesel air comes out of it. Okay. I'm pretty sure that if 100 homes were in the same place as mine, 100 homes would react to that. And the noise, trucks, air brakes are released on stop and start every time. Add to the truck lights doing a full 360 degrees. They come in this way, they put in that way, they turn around and they go back out. So that's 360 degrees. They come in this way, pointing that way, they do a circuit and they're pointing back there. So that's 360 degrees. The headlights are around every time they come in and out. It's not something Mike is looking forward to. Okay, we'll move on to the traffic hazard. Big dog. 5 ways to the big. 20 years ago when that was a service station, I've been told by people that use it, there was trouble with trucks coming around that hard corner and going to the service station. Trucks now have got trailers on, double length. And in 6 to 12 months, the A-triples will be more frequent on the road. Trucks with 3 trailers. Wow. I don't know how they're going to get around that one because it's supposed to be. They miss it on that bus sometimes. They hit that base, the brain will come back. Or in chairs, they will come to me. Good. Yeah. Cool. So, okay. The bunch of people I've spoken to, they do not want the truck fuel station in the shopping and residential area. I'm not saying they don't want to transplant in the tank. I'm saying they don't want it there. In shopping and residential area. They don't want it there. Trying to get the trucks out of the main street. Now they're introducing, this would introduce trucks to the main street. Oh, I don't know. So the planning for the next 50 years, town planning, Birchip really needs a service road for trucks and industrial blocks. Like most towns are going, or have been already gone. And then the trans tank area would be in the right place. Trucks wouldn't have traffic hazards at all. Birchip already has a trans tank in a sensible area of town. Any application in a less sensitive place should be refused. any demand for diesel and the demand for diesel in Birchip is catered for. More would be another transplant would be a nuisance at this stage. So, I have confidence in our councillors to be sensible in voting on this application. Being aware of the problems is why I'm objecting to this application for a planning permit. And school children, morning and night, across in that vicinity to go to school. And that's it. The one got to say, more, but that should be enough. Thank you for that.
Thank you for those people that have said some councillors. Are there any questions? Councillor Hill?
Yes.
Your procedure is now the councillors will ask questions.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I would like to speak to the position of the Sunraysia Highway Committee, Improvement Committee, which I act as the chair of, and that committee has directed me to also object to the situation that is before us, in that we as the Sunraysia Highway Committee don't believe that that's a suitable location for this installation. We're not against the installation, we're just against the location. And I guess while the committee did ask for some explanations and they were provided, I guess the be-all and end-all of it was that the explanations didn't go far enough to alleviate the problems that we think will be caused by a fuel cell in that location on that corner, especially when we're trying to get a fire breaks intersection roundabout in there in time to come, which is still our number one priority on our wishes for that committee. And I guess it's the while we've been assured that the vehicle count that might use that facility will be low, it still doesn't mean that it's going to be 100% safe in the opinion of our committee. So we strongly object as Sunraysia Highway Committee to the fuel cell going into that location. We commend the applicants and we commend the work of the staff of all the work that's been done. There appears to be one or two small anomalies in the application, but from the point of view of Sunraysia Highway Committee, it's the safety of the highway, which we are concerned about.
It's councillor.
I will speak about prejudice at some stage, but I'd rather council.
Through the mayor, mine is just a statement in that I cannot endorse the recommendation to grant a permit to operate a fuel cell at 2.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, you should be coming over the debate.
Sorry.
Any other questions, councillor?
I've got some questions to you.
Thank you, councillor.
After the conditions on the permit. Is there any condition on the permit in relation to fuels? Does not, can that be had easily?
Through the mayor, I need to check all the conditions, but the answer to the question is if it's not there, it can be added.
It's already dust been added into the permit. We've got the lights there, Dan lights on that. We're going to Dan lights on that street. On the cover area. And there's, and just listen to the other one, headlights, is there a condition in there to put blockages around just like the truck headlights? Lights leaving inside.
Through the mayor, no, there is not, but that could be added if that was something that needed to be included.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You Wayne, if this application was refused, would there be, what would the process be for the applicant and what would the cost implication to us?
Thank you, Councillor Gilley. Through the Mayor, yes, the applicant would have the option to appeal the decision at BCAT. They have a period of time, I think that's 60 days to make that appeal. Both parties share costs in that instance. Council would be required to engage appropriate consultants to represent us. I suggest that would be in the vicinity of $7,000.
Just, I suppose, clarification, this application comes before us and is presented on an area that is zoned appropriately. So the zone, the particular use of this area fits the zone. Is that correct?
Correct, Mayor, it's that zone commercial one.
Commercial one, so yeah. And this particular site has served as a service station before?
Through the Mayor, that's my understanding.
In a residential zone?
No, it's in the commercial one zone.
In fact, yeah, but it's
Surrounded by townships.
Yeah, so essentially, there has been an existing use before, and yeah, that's been too. Okay. Right. Any other questions, councillors? Second amendment. Councillors, we have a recommendation. The council having caused notice of planning application number 92821 to be given under section 52 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987 and or the planning scheme, and having considered all the matters required under section 60 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, decides to grant a notice of decision to grant a permit under the provisions of 34.101/1, 34.01/4, 52.05/11, and 52.29/2 of the Buloke planning scheme in respect to the land known and described as 2 Campbell Street, Bircham, lots 6, 7, 8, and 9. LPO 58023 for the use and development of land for service station fuel cell, construct and display a business identification sign and alter access to a road zone category 1 in accordance with the endorsed plans with the application date of 13/5/2021, subject to conditions. Do I have a mover and seconder for this recommendation, councillors?
Mr. Mayor, I will move this recommendation and includes something to fumes through the site. And we certainly dust the lights and something to blockage the air lights and that.
Councillor Wright. Do I have a seconder? I'll second the motion for point of discussion. Councillors? Have a move and a second, councillors.
Councillor
Motion. Thank you, councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The first thing that I'd like to bring up, that council should not be involved in competition areas of trade. This is a planning issue, not a competition or a trading. The Department of Transport is supposed to so-called experts in road conditions, and I'm actually quite happy about being using government roads and not local roads. There's less maintenance to do the road there. I understand the issues from the merchant community, and I apologise to Charles about this, but this is a planning issue, not a commercial. Like, as I say, not a thing, and we've got to go under the Planning and Environment Act. Whether I like it or not, I feel that we've got to go under the Act. And we listen to it. That's why I listened to your proposals, and that's why I put those extra conditions in on it. We haven't had an objection from GWM, who is another one of the neighbours. As well as that, we've been discussing economic development. We should be encouraging economic development as a council. We're looking at bringing in incentives. Why aren't we supporting economic development in our planning committee that actually lines up for that usage of that block? And I'd just like to leave it there, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Speak, yes. That's it.
I understand that it's a planning permit, but I cannot endorse the recommendation to grant a permit to operate a fuel cell at 2 Campbell Street, Bircham, as I am not convinced that this proposal is in the best interest of the people of the township of Bircham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I endorse the comments of Councillor Pollard. The members of the Bircham community that have contacted me have not once mentioned competition. It's not a competition that they have objecting to. It is for the amenity of the area and the residential side of it, and the children going to school along that way, which to me is a concern. Certainly, none of them have mentioned anything to do with commercial, but I'm not listening to that anyway. And I just think that the opposition from our own players, the people we represent, we need to listen to. I understand the need for the condition, but the opposition in the town is too strong, in my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would simply like to say that I object to the location. I don't think the location is suitable for what is proposed. I think the proposal is a fine proposal. It's a great opportunity. And Councillor Pollard does talk about economic development. Yes, we are in big discussions over economic development and bringing more business to town. We acknowledge that. I guess there's two ways to look at this. This is business that's new to the Buloke Shire, but probably not a lot of money will be spent in Buloke Shire, as opposed to the existing 2 businesses that operate out of service stations who are local people and spend their money and sponsor locals to do jobs and sporting things. So I see there is economic benefits that flow from allowing the ones that are there to survive. One business also operates a motel and caravan park, and I think fuel sales, I've got no doubt, would be detrimental to his livelihood if they would be decreased. So I certainly see the economic development as a two-sided thing. I would love to see this proposal on another location, because I think it's, and even the objectives have said that, another location would be more suitable. I commend the planners for all the work they've done with the applicant, but I too cannot support the motion in the current location. And I say that because of the objection of the Sunraysia Highway Committee, who firm on this, as well as the number of residents that have voiced their dissatisfaction with it, and not understanding at the time that of the objection just what was going on.
Sorry, I guess I could object. One thing is, if you're looking at competition, if people are objecting, they won't go there. So that means people won't go and use it. It won't be there for a very long period of time. But it's not up to decide that it's there or not there. As I said, this is a planning issue. The land is suitable to this use. under the planning scheme. If we are concerned about that, we should have changed the planning scheme years ago. The other issue is that it can't be used as residential as it seems because of the contamination. And basically, the only use that we use for this block is fuel because of the contamination. Or someone's going to spend a lot of money trying to clean it up. So I just think that we should be concentrating on the planning issues. And yes, I understand it is very, there's a lot of ill feeling towards this project in Bircham. There's a lot of probably ill feeling around elsewhere too. I know that. I don't really want to see this going to BCAT because realistically, I can just see this BCAT just authorising anyone straight off the thing of this, straight out. And I don't think why should we spend their money, ratepayers' money, finding something in BCAT that we're not going to win. Or with a low chance of winning. So I just think that we should be looking at supporting as a planning issue with the extra conditions to try and make the amenity of the area improve.
Councillors, we have a recommendation before us. We've heard from the applicant, we've heard from objectors, we've heard from councillors about the matter. I think I'll put the recommendation, you're familiar with the recommendation. It's been moved and seconded. I'll now put the recommendation to the vote. All those in favour of the recommendation? All those against? Recommendation is lost. Thank you, councillors. Yes, sir. To Recorder Division, all those in favour of the recommendation? Councillor Apollo and Councillor Warren. Those against? Councillor Gatley, Councillor Mill and Councillor Simpson. Thank you. No doubt I'd like to thank the applicant for joining us tonight and the objectors for coming along and sharing their concerns with us. As they say, this will probably move to a higher authority. We've done our bit as a council at the state, so no doubt people will consider their options there. So thank you for your attendance tonight, and if you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you've probably got better things to do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hardy, for joining us.
Thank you. I'm sorry, it's just a little bit difficult to hear the result. Was that approved or refused? I'm sorry.
Sorry, it was refused.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, moving along, councillors, 8.2.2. Planning permit application 95521, 3-lot subdivision, rural dwelling excision boundary alignment, 645 Fawcett's Road, Butchercreek.
Thank you.
Can you take your email?
You certainly may. If you want to go out that door there, sorry. Thanks, Councillor Mill.
Sorry,
That's right. Thank you for doing that. Thanks.
Thank you. Planning permit application has been received by council on the 12th of October 2021 for a 3-lot subdivision at 64 Fawcett's Road, Butchercreek. Subdivision will create a lot for rural dwellings and realign allotment boundary to create 2 large agricultural land allotments of more equal size. The subdivision will create Lot 1 being 6.36 hectares, containing the existing dwelling, outbuildings and a lightly timbered area, including a buffer zone to the farming operation. The realigning of the allotment boundary will create Lot 2 being 262.7 hectares and Lot 3 being 284.9 hectares. The application has come to council as a responsible authority as the proposed rural dwelling exhaustion lot of 6.3 hectares is larger than the maximum size of 2 hectares in the Buloke planning scheme policy guidelines for rural dwelling and excursion lots. There is a recommendation there.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Councillors, any questions? No? Comfortable with that. So we do have a recommendation, councillors. The council having cause notice of planning application number 95521 to be given under section 52 of the Planning Environment Act 1987 and on the planning scheme, and having considered all the matters required under section 60 of the Planning Environment Act 1987, decides to grant a permit under provisions 3507/3, 4404/3, the Buloke planning scheme, in respect of the land known described as 645 Fawcett's Road, which includes CA 14 and CA 14A in section A, parish of Buloke. Thank you. We need you to translate the voice, Councillor Milne, from time to time. There need to be, like, you know, when you're looking for different things, that sort of they draw it out like it, pronounce it like this. For the 3-lot subdivision, boundary alignment and dwelling decision in accordance with the endorsed plans with the application dated 12th October 2021, subject conditions. Do I have someone to move that recommendation, councillors? Councillor Getley to move it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pollard to second. Councillors, is there any opposition? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. 8.2.3, which approved recreation and racecourse reserve master plan. Mr. Rowe, yeah, or was this Mr. Rowe?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is that council considers and adopts the Widgie-proof recreation racecourse reserve master plan. Many facilities at the Widgie-proof recreation and racecourse reserve sites are nearing the end of their life cycle and require strategic decision making and investment over the coming years. Widgie-proof recreational and racecourse reserve master plan was developed in close consultation with the community via community surveys, listening posts, workshops, and with user groups and council staff, and one-to-one phone calls with key stakeholders. Councillors also attended a walkthrough of the site in December of 2021. This report intends to present the Widgie-proof recreation racecourse reserve master plan to council for consideration and endorsement. There is a recommendation there.
Mr. Rowe, councillors, any questions? Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, will the endorsement of this master plan mean that it has to be carried out to the letter of this plan? Or can there be variation?
Through the mayor, if I may
Yes,
respond
certainly,
to
Mr.
Councillor Milne's question. No, there's plenty of opportunity, Councillor Milne, for us to vary that master plan as time progresses. We can continue to revisit the document and look to adjust it as users require and council receives feedback from those users in the broader community. Thank you.
Councillor Getley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a good document. There's a lot in it. Our walkthrough tonight that we had there was very informative. The only issue that I think that I'm not sure that Widgie-proof is big enough to have all these facilities or needs all these facilities, but I think it's a good start to updating the precinct on some scale. Thank you, Mr.
Councillor Getley. Councillors.
I've just got a comment at some stage.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, right. Basically, I'm quite comfortable with the plan as it's presented. A little bit concerned with some of the storage opportunities for the males, etc., in a couple of the locations. As I say, this is only basically guidelines, and that can be adjusted as need arises.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other questions?
So again, it's not a question, so when can I make a statement? So my statement is that I will endorse the adoption of the master plan for which approved recreation racecourse reserve for the purpose of seeking funding. The proposed master plan cannot be the final draft as there are still several unanswered questions, and this master plan will require further ongoing consultation with user groups, stakeholders and governing bodies. But I do appreciate that we need to seek funding to enable this to commence.
Councillors, we do have a recommendation. The council, 1, adopt the which approved recreation and racecourse reserve master plan, and 2, authorises the chief executive officer to seek funding opportunities for the implementation of the which approved recreation and racecourse reserve master plan. Do I have someone to move that recommendation, please? I'll move it, Mr. Councillor. I'll have to move a second, please.
Yeah, happy to do that, Mr. Mayor.
Any opposition, councillors? That's carried. And just to reinforce the words before, I think that the walkthrough prior to Christmas was very beneficial to get an appreciation and understanding of the work that needs to be undertaken on site, and to endorse, I suppose, Councillor Mills' comments and so forth. I mean, this is a plan that, with all our plans, they are fluid and variable as the needs arise. I mean, certain funding opportunities may come out for others. So,
Yep.
I mean, we do, but at least we have the document, and it's a rather, for those who take the time, and it's a weighty document, but there's a lot of work that's gone into it. And I congratulate the staff for putting it together, and it, hopefully we can see the fruits of their labour in the future. So, thank you. 8.2.4, the draft audit and risk committee meeting minutes of the 1st December 2021.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to present this report and acknowledging in the recommendation that mentions the 22nd of September 21. That should be corrected to 1 December 2021. These are, of course, the minutes from that audit and risk committee meeting held on that date. The recommendation for councillors to note the draft minutes. Mayor, thank you.
Any questions, councillors? No. It's the recommendation that council notes the draft minutes of the audit and risk committee meeting held on the 1st of September 21. Do I just have someone to move that? We note that, please. Councillor Gatley, a second, please. Councillor Collins, second for the objection. Thank you.
Very straightforward.
Yeah. Always good to see those there. Someone's looking over our shoulder. 8.2.5, the community grants and sponsorship. Hello, Mr. Fitzgibbon.
I'm down here, introducing the meeting there, and through the councils, I'm pleased to present the community grants and sponsorship program with 43 applications for value of $1,500. Budget playground project support application of $2,000, which supports the impacts in concert. The virtual business and learning group project support grant of $2,000, supporting the Multi-Heart Street Art Festival, and which group P12 project support grant of $1,500, which relates to the local expo.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbon. Council, any questions?
Some comment, these grants do provide our community groups with the opportunities to participate in these programs that they otherwise wouldn't be able to. So I think this is a very important part of our work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? Questions, councillors? No. Council, we do have recommendation that Council 1 allocates the following funding under the Community Grants and Sponsorship Program. $1,500 project support grant to the Virtual Business and Learning Centre. $2,000 project support grant to which approved P12 College. $2,000 project support grant to Virtual Playgroup for the 2022-2023 financial year. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Simpson, you move it. We're just stretching it. Councillor second. Councillor Gatley, thank you. Any opposition? No, that's carried. Thank you, councillors. 8.3 financial reports. Financial report as at the 31st of December.
Yes, Mayor, thank you very much. I'm pleased to present this report to councillors representing the second quarter of the financial year and indicating that that council is tracking very well against our budget, and indeed the capital program continues to be rolled out in force with regular tenders, etc., coming for council's consideration. I'm pleased to recommend the council receive and note the financial performance report for the period ending 31 December 2021. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Any comments, observations?
No comments. We can't see any issues coming up with our capital works project for the rest of the year.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard, and through you, Mayor. The program continues to be a challenge. It's quite large, Councillor Pollard, as we all know. Procurement and hiring goods, materials, and indeed services continues to be a challenge, as indeed some of the estimates coming through are larger than what we had expected. We are managing that within the large program to make sure that we certainly don't run over budget and that we deliver the maximum program that we can, knowing that there probably will be a couple of things that we will have carry forward into the next financial year.
Councillors have a recommendation. The council receives and notes the financial performance report for the period ending 31st of December 2021. Do I have someone to move that recommendation?
I'm happy to move that.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Do I have a second, please, councillors? Councillor Moore, thank you. Any objections? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. Eight point six, matters which may exclude the public. Recommendation. That pursuant to section 66(1) and 2A of the Local Government Act 2020, the meeting be closed to the public to consider the following reports that are considered to contain confidential information on the grounds provided in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020 as indicated. 8.6.1 C109 2021-22 local road reconstruction.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, you want us to look back to item 8.5 for we close the meeting?
And while we're at it, Mr. Mayor, can I make a suggestion that we move the in-camera stuff to the area? Is that something that the council would agree on while we've got people streaming? Maybe we've got a guest in the gallery. That we continue with all the other procedural items and then make that the last item, if that's agreeable to everybody.
Well, it's got to be done by motion, so I'll move the motion that we bring the closed session to the finish of the agenda to allow all other items to be completed prior to closing the meeting.
I second that. Thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
Opposition? No opposition. Okay, that's carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll proceed along that line and cut back that. Sorry. It's a paper everywhere. 8.4 organisational reports. We don't have any bill. 8.5 reports from councillors. We move around the room, Councillor Pollard. Councillor Simpson.
Since the council meeting in December, I have attended all council briefings and special council meetings, as well as the Audit and Risk Committee meeting. I had the pleasure of attending the Buloke Shire Australia Day Eve event at Berrywillick and was welcomed to the Australia Day breakfast at Nendali.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's been a number of meetings and get-togethers, the traditional Christmas ones, and a couple of the forum and progress committee meetings have started up again, as have Wirral Valley Tourism Board and Educate have started up again, and those committees are well on the way to working towards, certainly Edutac's well on the way to working towards a strategy for the next 12 months, which was put and will be discussed, I think, at the briefing next week. And Wirral Valley Tourism Board is also working on a strategy going forward for the relevance of that particular board when the new visitor economy zones come in. which I'm hearing have been put back again. And in the other bits and pieces, I think we've covered them all off. Thank you.
Mr. Gethley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prior to Christmas, I attended the staff break-up at Very Willick and the Calgoa Christmas party in the town up there. Since then, we run Southern Valley Transport Group, and I did actually circulate the report from the Vic Road on that one. Australia Day, Very Willick Eve. Congratulations to the staff, and well put together, well run, and been a good evening. Australia Day itself, I attended the breakfast at Sea Lake and then the second breakfast at Calgoa. Since then also the Advanced Sea Lake meeting, Nullarbor Progress Association meetings. There's just issues out of both of those that we'll be discussing obviously further on, and just the usual meetings and briefings as required. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And look, I will table on what I've sent in for. I'd just like to thank all councillors. I mean, people get the impression that we we all go to sleep over December, January. We don't. You're always on call, you always need, but also to thank you for your support to your communities through Australia Day, especially turning up at your various communities and events and flying the council flag. It's always great to see people comment. It's great to see the councils in their communities and giving that feedback. So well done, and I think we could probably say officially council starts now on Australia Day Eve at the it's when we're back and going. So I think we've got a sort of a starting point of going forward. So that's an event really that is just growing in stature each year, and I think it's great that that's happening. And we'll sort of say to the staff, you're doing a great job, and we look forward to it next year and see what we can come up with, which is great. Moving on, since we've got that motion to other business. Now, I have a notice of motion. The Mayor has got a notice of motion. I bring this notice of motion to the council by way of background that we're probably all aware that this year marks the 70th anniversary of the ascension of Queen Elizabeth II to the throne. The Commonwealth. It's an incredible event that someone, and I mean, I suppose I can say that in my lifetime I've only known one monarch. I've known a lot of prime ministers, but we certainly had one monarch, and she is revered, and I suppose across not only in England but across the Commonwealth and whatever, and we still acknowledge the fact that she is our Queen along those lines. And in looking through the community, I noticed travelling around that previous councils, certainly not this particular one, but other councils, whether they be Charlton, McDonald, or Shires, or Butchie, have always noted and done something about royal matters, and it's usually been a tree planted in memory, which we all know with trees that it's something that we will never obviously feel the real benefit of a tree, but maybe generations in the future will feel the benefit of a shady tree. So I bring before you, councillors, a motion that council acknowledge the fact that Queen Elizabeth II will have been our monarch for 70 years, ascended the throne on the 6th of February 1952. Council committed to planting a tree in each town to recognise this incredible reign. So I'd like to move that motion, and hopefully that I'll get a second for discussion, councillors.
Mayor, I think that's a great idea, and I'm happy to second that motion.
Councillor Gethley. Councillors, any discussion about that? Thoughts?
It might get one of the 3 trees I've been wanting in the park in Watcham for about 3 years.
It'll be a Lizzie solution. Well, there we go. You've solved 2 problems.
No, I think while it's a good gesture and a worthy gesture, it also planting of trees is always a good thing, and that'll provide benefit to people long way down the track. So I'm in favour.
I'm wondering whether we should add to that motion that plaques will be created to acknowledge the significance of the trees.
It's up to you as the moving
Oh, look,
mayor.
I'm happy to accept that. So at least people know this tree was whatever. Yeah. So we can add that as a point that at least people know that the trees.
Don't feel the second is helping.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, with that amendment. So look, any other comment, councillors? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Gary, thank you, councillors, for your indulgence and also recognition of Her Majesty. Questions from councillors? Are there any questions, councillors?
That won't last till the briefing.
Aaron?
Also, I've got nothing that won't last to the briefing.
No? Councillor Getley?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Look, I do have a question. I believe that we need to feed some more information into Sea Lake regarding our non-responsibility for the report. I attended Advanced Sea Lake meeting Monday night, and there is a number of people up there that believe that the report has been prepared by us, and I don't believe that we've put enough, that it's not our report, we don't own the report, and I think we need to get some more of that information, feed more information into that community on our role in that report.
I think you can get the essence through the mayor. There is a listening post that's been conducted tomorrow by Delft. I'll attendance. I'll certainly be there for a period of time, along with the Director of Community Development. We'll certainly be making that point strongly, as we have been with any media inquiries and other phone calls we've received over the last week or so. But certainly happy to consider any further comms that we might run to help make sure that message is coming through to the city.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Thank you. We've come to basically any other business, so we have no any other business, and we'll return now to 8.6 matters which may exclude the public. So we have a recommendation, councillors, that pursuant to section 66(1) and 2A of the Local Government Act 2020, the meeting be closed to the public to consider the following reports that are considered to contain confidential information on the grounds provided in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020 as indicated. 8.61 C109 2021 22 local road reconstruction, Nullarbor, Burgess Road and Sea Lake Lascelles Road section, and 8.6.2 lease of the Mount Lytchfield Reserve, Buloke Shire Council and Telstra Corporation Limited. Do I have someone to move that we close the meeting to the public? Councillor Simpson will move by the seconder.